Fantastic. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another ASEA Global Expansion Team Zoom. We have Jeremy Meredith from ASEA Corporate. He is the Senior VP of Global IT. And I wanted to introduce him to you guys so that we all got to know him a little bit better and understood where he came from and how he found ASEA, a little bit about his background, what kind of projects he's taken on before joining the ASEA team, and what kind of projects he's working on behind the scenes at ASEA Corporate. So Jeremy, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you a Utah guy? Were you born and raised there?
Yeah, so I was actually born in Texas. My dad was a military member. He was in the Air Force, and I was born and as a child lived in San Antonio, Texas. So shortly after, about 4 or 5, my dad retired from the military, went reserves, military Air Force reserves, and he settled in here in Utah, and we've been there ever since. So mostly a Utah, not around in Texas long enough to have had picked up a Southern drawl or anything, or any Texas speak. It is a reality of, like Ben Tyler, it is a reality of why I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I think they evict you from Texas. If when I was born in Texas, you are not a Cowboys fan, they just excuse you from the state, right? I think that's how that worked.
That's
right. But been in Utah for a long time.
There you go. Perfect. So what have you been doing in Utah? Tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you found ASEA or ASEA found you.
Yeah, I've bounced around a little bit. I've had some good conversations about the opportunities that I've had over the course of my career. I've been very lucky and very blessed to be able to have a lot of the experiences that I've had. I've worked for large companies like Walmart and eBay, both of which I was at for 5 or 6 years each. I've also worked for a software startup that sold voice over IP, which is a really cute technical term for making phone calls over the internet. So I've worked for small companies. I've worked for the largest of the large companies. I've worked for a couple there in between. I've had 3 different opportunities to work for network marketing companies. This is my 3rd. I also have had some experience in the industry as my wife and I have engaged with different network marketing companies over the years on the field side, and supported her mostly through those efforts. She's the more outgoing one. I picked IT for a reason.
Fantastic. So how were you introduced to ASEA? How did you find ASEA, or did ASEA find you?
Well, maybe it was meant to be. Maybe we found each other a little bit, right? So I ended up in between jobs. I left my last job about May of last year. I took a couple months off, and then I started consulting for different companies in the area, mostly with folks that I know. I wasn't out there knocking a lot of doors, tracking down contracts, but mostly picking up work, helping with IT departments, restructuring, project management, some database work, finding my own way through a couple things that were going on, just taking the opportunities that were there, and ended up running into Dave Wall. He and I, we've known of each other for probably almost 20 years. I think we probably both of us started in the industry at the same network marketing company. We knew of each other there. He and I evidently had enough of a reputation that he knew there were some needs at ASEA, and he did some work tracking me down and asking me where I was at. I came over. I started contracting for ASEA in October of last year, and then ended up coming on full time late November, early December.
Excellent. So now we've got a lot going on in the IT department in ASEA. Yeah. We've got, our virtual office, we've got our websites, we've got our back office, we've got the app, we've got onboarding, we've got, all kinds of stuff. So tell us about some of the projects that and you don't have to get into the specifics necessarily, but just some of the projects that you're really excited about, or, give us an idea of where we're going from an IT perspective as a company.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it follows a path of simplification at the moment. There are several different systems that in the moment find themselves in a state of transition. So as many of you will know, and for those of you that don't, I don't think we have any secrets on this. We actually have two different apps that we're running right now. The ASEA app is the app that we intend to launch around the globe. But as we have not arrived there yet, we are still running one other app in many international markets. We would obviously love to be consolidated to a single app, which is where we'd like to put all of our effort and make sure that it's the best that it can be. We have a similar situation with some of our ordering. Before I arrived, the company had taken some good feedback on the fact that our enrollment flow wasn't as streamlined as it needed to be, and it wasn't as intuitive as it could have been. And it felt a little clunky and like there were a lot of steps. So there's been a lot of work going into creating a new enrollment flow. And for anybody who's only been around for a couple of months, it's not new. It's the only enrollment flow. For those that have been around forever, it is going to be a new flow, but we are still working on finishing that transition, getting the new flow, so to speak, into a state where we can cut over and have that be the only flow we're maintaining. As you can imagine, trying to keep all the SKUs and prices and pictures and descriptions right in basically two systems at once becomes quite challenging and a lot of work to be doing. And so we're hoping to finish those transitions and put all of our work into those new systems and then move forward from there. There is actually one other system that's in a state of transition, and again, feedback coming from the field, good feedback from leaders such as yourselves. The corporate site, ASEAglobal.com, is in a state of transition. If you're looking at the United States version in English and in Spanish, and coming soon in a bunch of other markets, it is a updated look and feel. And in a lot of the other markets, it's the global corporate site that will be very familiar to everybody else. So there's honestly, the biggest work that we're going through right now is trying to finish those transitions so that we're not carrying two versions of every system as we're trying to get updated and moving to stuff that's a little more user-friendly, a little more intuitive, and we think looks a lot better than some of the stuff we've had in the past, sort of refreshes or freshens up our look. We're also working really hard to create some consistency between those systems. Even when you get to a good state of working through that stuff, we're trying to make them all be familiar. They may not be exactly the same, but to be familiar. You'll notice that if anybody were to run into a situation where they were to look at ARS on the ASEA app and then go over to shop ASEAglobal.com and look at it there might be a slightly different picture. We might have some slightly different wording. We're trying to align all those things so that your experience with ASEA is lined up and as effective as it can possibly be for those possible new accounts that you can be adding to your team. And so that we don't have confusion of what's where. And so that there's a consistent message that we've proved out to be the most effective method, and that we can obviously, again, as mentioned earlier, eliminate some of the maintenance that we're carrying as we have two versions of everything. That's one of the biggest things we've got going on right now, which may not seem exciting unless you really don't like the old stuff that we have out there, and then it's going to be really exciting.
Right. So when you say the two versions of things, so you're saying the United States usually gets the newest version first, and then we open that version to other markets as we get accepted there or as things get refined in the United States, right? So is that what you're saying, is that the newest version is in the United States and the older version is still running in some of the other countries?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And the same with the app. So the ASEA Global is the free app that was, I know, recently launched in Australia. I'm not sure, it's in the United States. I'm not sure how many countries that app is available in now, but if they don't have access to the ASEA Global app, they still have the ASEA Connect app, or is that what you're talking about?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And just to decipher one other acronym, so ARS, so ASEA Redox Supplement, just for anybody who doesn't, I know we get so acronym driven that sometimes we're people are like, what, excuse me, what was that?
What was that last part? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you have a something that you're really known for, a skill that you're really known for? Like, I can tell you that I'm really good at this. And so, one of my main focuses is this, because I can see, improvement that can be made in, this area. Is there something like that rings a bell in your head when I say that?
Yeah, there's probably two things that come to mind. The first thing is people are shocked that I'm an IT guy when they figure out I can carry on a conversation. Stereotypes are alive and well. And they're like, wait a minute, like he seems like he can carry on a conversation. And I've heard his jokes, and even some of them are funny, maybe, right? I don't know, that might be presumptuous. That's the first thing to throw out a funny one. The other thing that I've had as a skill for some time, and I'm gathering the information as I go, and it does take a sec to gather all the complexities of all the ins and outs of all the IT systems that are in play at ASEA corporate. But I have a very long memory for long chains of processes, long sequences of inputs and outputs that all have to fit together for an outcome, which has been a lot of where I think the success in my career has come from, is I have to keep track of, obviously, like, hey, where did the order come in from? Well, off the top of my head, I have to know, well, there's two different applications that may be coming from, or there's 4 or 6 different applications that get, if it comes in this way, then this happens, and then it goes here, and then it goes there, and then it has to ship, and then we have to pay commissions, and then we have to, all the things that come in play along those lines. It's been something that's been a bit of a hallmark of my career. I do have a pretty long memory for stuff that involves IT. I wish I had the same great memory for stuff like names of all the individuals I've met and that I've run into along the way. But systems is what really sort of thrills me on being able to capture all the ins and outs. And I love the fact that IT is one of those things that if something is wrong, if I'm working on a computer and I'm trying to tell an IT system to do something and it's not working, I love the fact that it's always my fault, because computers only do what you tell them to. So I either told the computer wrong
Right.
or something else is going on, but whatever it is, it's my fault. And the computer's only doing what it was told. So an interesting side note of, I think, what has worked out really well for me over the course of my career.
So I'm sure you have a big team that is supporting you. You're not the sole guy at the computer trying to make this all happen yourself. Are you in charge of the coding and making it work properly, or are you now in charge of the way things look, making sure that it looks good? Are you both, or just more one-sided or the other?
When I first took over in December, I was in charge of everything that had to do something. So if there was something that the technology needed to do or it wasn't supposed to do, that's mine. A change recently, I guess about a month ago, we have moved over some of the folks that are working on the marketing technology. So like the corporate website, so ASEAglobal.com, and what that looks like. Also all the designs on shop.aseaglobal.com, those have now come over to me as well. So there was a little bit of a realignment of resources there that Scott had made a decision on, and he did move some folks over to be able to help support some of what we're doing and more tightly align the folks designing what we want our IT to look like and the folks building the IT to make that happen. So they are now all on my team. The thing I would add in there a little bit is all of the pictures that we use on our IT system. So if I were to go to a ASEA Redox supplement product page in the shopping, so all of the clicking on buttons, and it has to do something, that's for sure all of us. The layout of what it looks like is on my team as of about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And the piece that is outside of our jurisdiction at this point and lives within marketing, which now reports into Scott, is what picture got used and what description got used. So that little blurb of information, the words that describe what ASEA Redox supplement is and why you should buy it and what it'll do for you, that section of words and content there, those are things that are going through marketing currently. So I kind of say if it's words and pictures, that's not me. If it's anything else technology, that's now part of my team. And yeah, there's a large team of people working through that. I think I did the math on it today. We're 40 something folks, designers, developers, people that work on servers and networks, and of course data movement, reporting. We also have a support team that goes through, make sure all the corporate office employees have their laptops working and that our wireless is working and all those things.
Wow. Yeah. So it's a big operation, especially when you're operating in 33 countries around the world. So you've got all those languages, all those currencies, all that stuff. I mean, I know that there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that we have no idea about. And we're so grateful that you guys are handling that.
Yeah.
We don't have to handle that on our end.
You know, the interesting intersection there is, Cindy, when I think about that type of stuff, I appreciate it the other direction. There's so much that happens in the field by all the people on this call, all the work that gets done in a way that we can't even imagine, right? So I think we appreciate it all the same. And the other thing that I think ends up being true is I understand that none of you can do it alone. I'm certain that you arrive where you're at with great members of your team that you trusted, and you work together, and you all have things that you're good at, and you collaborate on those items, and you share good ideas, and you work with each other. And we're really, in a lot of ways, doing the same thing on the corporate side, even in IT. We're leveraging that same power of a team to really trust the individuals we've got, sort of give them more leeway than maybe they've ever had, to run quickly and get stuff done and get it done better, and engage with the field and ask them questions and understand better what your needs are. We've also had some really great engagement recently with, specifically spent a lot of time with Frank and with Linda at the corporate office on our business development team. They've given us great insight into things that we can be doing better to support the ways in which our field associates are driving the sales of the company.
Okay, great. Well, I heard you loud and clear that the main theme of IT is to simplify. I think the whole word, that I kind of shows what ASEA is trying to do is simplify everything, our messaging, our sales process, our enrollment process. I mean, everything. We're just trying to make things simpler, because it's just, there's so many moving parts, and we can get, to answering questions that aren't even asked, which is, just not necessary. So I know that lately we've put the Redox rewards points. We have an option now to add those points to your subscription, or, send them on an additional order. So, and I know that we're refining that process as much as possible, so that it's obvious to people how that works. I realized lately that if you are putting your Redox rewards with your subscription, you have to actually click that little arrow below in the line and put the subscription that you want it to go with. I was wondering why it wasn't working. So there's little things like that maybe people that are more adept at the computer, it's obvious to some of you guys. It's maybe not as obvious to some of us, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been one of the major focuses we have, even as we're looking to simplify and get those systems consolidated that I mentioned we have, that we're working through. Probably the biggest area of effort we've had in the last little while, we've probably made about 15 to 20 different changes to our shopping flow on the shop.aseaglobal.com, which is the site you're mentioning, that allows you to do sort of this integrated Redox rewards points shopping, whereas before it was its own flow, and that had some advantages, but also had some disadvantages. And we're working through now, again, based on feedback from the field, a way of integrating that shopping. Within that shopping flow, we've made probably 20 to 25 different enhancements over the last 2 to 3 weeks. And some of them subtle, but almost all of them as a feedback item from the field. So for example, if I were to think of one, so you're just sharing that example from the Redox rewards of how shopping with that works. So one of the things you get is, if you go to shop.aseaglobal.com, you come to what I'm calling a catalog page, where you kind of see all of our items. Well, we made a couple of those changes even in the last couple of weeks. And one of them is, some feedback from the field was, why is Renew 28 like the third or fourth category? Why isn't it the second category? It's such a popular item. People have to scroll down and look for it. So we moved it up. So we moved it up higher to the top, and we put in an image that matches with the VO toolkit that is used to sell it for those that are choosing to use that toolkit. So again, creating consistency, listening to the field, moving things up. Also true, another quick example from that page is when you would hover the picture of a ASEA Redox supplement or Renew 28, a little box would come up and it said view product. And it used to work the way that you'd have to click on the view product box to get to Renew 28 to buy it. And we changed it because people said they try and click on the image, not on the box. And we said, well, all right, we'll make it so that if you click on the image, it goes to Renew 28 too. So we made that change. Like, a lot of them, not really huge changes, but again, to your example of just subtle changes that help people really navigate without getting stuck, so that we're not spending your time trying to help your customers through shopping, but rather allowing you to reach out to more people and share the ASEA story.
Yeah. Now, the ASEA Global website is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful images and a very, very professional site. Our VOs, on the other hand, are just not as sexy. So is there any way we're going to do anything to our websites to make them a little bit, the little join button on the top is so tiny and the buy shopping cart is so tiny at the top. And it just seems like an antiquated website. Are there any plans to kind of make our websites a little sexier or not so much?
Yes. And I'm going to sweat this a little bit because
Sorry to put you on the spot.
it's always hard to give an idea of exactly when we're going to get through to things. But I will share, if everybody's a little understanding, there's a lot to do there. So like I said, we've got, and you called it out earlier, you're exactly right. Like super good awareness there, Cindy, that there's 32 countries and I think like 25, 26 different languages that we're trying to get everything out in. So we have to get all the copy done. We have to get everything translated. We have to get it approved. So we've got a little bit to get ASEAglobal.com, the new corporate site, like all sort of built out. In discussions that we don't have timing for delivery on, what we're working towards is trying to get the replicated sites integrated with the corporate site. So the corporate site would function as your replicated site. And we'll soon have designs and start working with field leaders to take feedback on how we would make that work. But what we're trying to do there is, again, we're trying to simplify. So there's not two places to keep everything up to date. And so that stuff, and that's a little bit of what happened. In the old design, there was this ASEAglobal.com that was a corporate site, and it probably got kept up to date a little better than some of the replicated sites, which was a completely separate site. So our thought there is, if we can integrate them and make it feel as though we're sort of co-branding, you associates in the field and ASEA corporate, we're going to co-brand those two and make it feel like you're shopping with both entities, and we're both legitimate and we're here to help you, and we've got good information and we're keeping it up to date, and it's all translated more effectively and kept up to date there as well. So that's what we're working towards specifically there. And I mean, it's thrilling to hear that you like the new design, because as we're as we're looking to sort of move our replicated sites into the corporate site somehow, that is something that we hope to keep more up to date. And honestly, it'll keep us in a spot where we don't need as many resources to keep it up to date. So we can reinvest in other things and it's more efficient.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's really exciting to hear. And are there any thoughts, and this is, I know, a loaded topic, but people that, the whole subscription thing, we'd love for people to, buy whatever they're going to buy in their first order. And then we'd love to encourage them to go on a subscription. And I mean, I know that you don't have to do that if you buy from some of these, online shopping sites. And I hope that that's not deterring people from buying from us. But is there anything in the work? I know there's a 20% savings if people go on a subscription. And I know that it's our job in the field to really educate people about why that's so important, and why it's so user-friendly and it's not something you're locked into. You can cancel at any time. Are there communications going on about how to keep subscriptions strong?
Yes, I will. You okay if I share my screen really quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So again, in an effort to, well, in partnership with the business development team and a lot of the regional heads, we're hearing that feedback loud and clear from associates and associate leaders in the field. And I'm going to show you a concept that we're working on right now. So don't count on it being exactly like this, but we're trying to work towards something like this. This is a design that we are you seeing that now?
Yeah, I do.
So the idea with this page that we're working through right now is we're hearing that feedback loud and clear. So we thought, well, let's let people shop, because if they do a subscription, if they add a subscription to their initial order, then great, right? So we're going to be pretty hands-off if they just pick a subscription. However, if they've gone through their shopping process and they've placed an order for today, but haven't placed a subscription, when they click go to checkout, they won't go to checkout immediately. They'll go to this page. which will then take them here, and excuse the wording here. We're not sure. I think this is IT mocking stuff up. We're not sure exactly what we'll say there. So subscriptions are great, but blah, blah, blah. We don't know what marketing's going to want to put in there. So our marketing and creative team will work on that. They'll also work on some of the pictures we would put here. But essentially, if somebody tries to go to checkout without a subscription, we're working on popping up a page that says, you should really have a subscription, and here's why. And for associates, which is where we'll start with something like this, is we'll say, you earn Redox Rewards points. You can get a free account renewal, and subscription can help you get there. Subscription allows you the convenience of always having the products that you need. We'll make all those cases right here. And then what we'll probably do, and you're seeing here a concept of it, is I don't, like, you can see the arrow buttons. I don't know that we'll have everything available for shopping when we start this page, but we do intend to have at least a ASEA Redox supplement, probably a case of a ASEA Redox supplement, probably Renew 28, and then maybe room for one other thing. And then an option somewhere on the page that says, go back and pick my own subscription of something else, or something to that effect. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
So this is something, again, we're taking very seriously. We're understanding, as well as the field does, that subscriptions are a key to success in the business, and a key to success of the people using the product. It's not something where you use it once or twice and then you're good forever, right? It is something that requires ongoing maintenance. Welcome to the health of the body, right? There's got to be some way to make sure stuff is ongoing. But as we take that seriously, these are some of the ideas that we've been kicking around, and a design like that, and some way to step into the checkout process and say, look, we're taking subscription seriously. You should as well. Make a good case for adding a subscription, and then make it really easy to click a button and subscribe to something and then go to checkout. And honestly, we're also then even thinking of a way to, within the next page that's actually starting the checkout process, to from there also say, you should have a subscription right here, but you don't. Are you sure you don't want to have a subscription? So we're trying a couple of different ways and a couple of different places to make sure we can do a better job of making sure that new enrollments, new accounts are having the opportunity to understand the importance of subscription and supporting your businesses in that way.
Yeah, excellent.
That was a long answer. Sorry. Thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, so see, and therein lies the complexity. We're trying to keep it simple, but then we want to make sure that they know that if they put a subscription on, they're going to save 20%. They'll say, I mean, that's the big thing, you're going to save money if you do this, and you're going to get free product from the Redox Rewards points. Well, we love the shared shopping cart. That's a great bonus, makes it really easy for people, and we love using that, and with the QR code and the link that you can copy and just put in a text or a email or what have you. That's really great. And the app is really helpful. I'd love more teasers there than such obvious ASEA information, but they're beautiful images and things. Are there any new developments with the app that are going on that we should know about? And
we're working on some better.
2 minutes left to go, right? So that's a loaded question.
We are working on some better integration there. We have gotten some feedback on some, as folks have started engaging with the app, to get through and have sort of a seamless experience, regardless of exactly where you're shopping. There have been some items there. We have a list of things to improve there. Again, same thing as shopping. We've gotten a lot of traction there, and we'll continue to work through those items. So not a lot of detail, I guess, I can kick out, but yes, we are aware of some stuff there, and we are working on refining it right now before we start jumping into too many more international markets. Right. But we're even thinking through that as well, to try and get as quickly out to international markets as possible so they can take advantage of the app. We are also taking a lot of the app's assets, so the pictures and some of the content that we have, and we're using that content to move it over into our shopping site and into our corporate sites. So again, you create that consistency. We've gotten good feedback on the imagery over there, so we're going to use that as much as possible because folks are liking it. It allows us to have a more fresh look and feel and be a little more up to date.
All right.
I should also say really quick on the subscription thing as well. We do also, in the new flow, when subscribe and order is one button, and hopefully what we're doing there in that case with new accounts is you order and subscribe with one button. It's a better way to go, and helps folks understand that that's what we intend for you to do. So anyways.
That's great. That's great. Well, we're to the bottom of the half hour, but I wanted to ask you, you've got incredible experience out there. You know what you're doing. why did you choose ASEA? You've got all these, I'm sure you've got all kinds of companies out there that would love your expertise at, behind on their ship, helping their ship run a little better. Why did you choose ASEA?
About 3 years ago, City, I sat down and took an interview with a company that a friend asked me to come interview for, a longtime colleague and friend. And it was a network marketing company, and they make a little over $2 billion a year in total sales. And they offered me the job, and I told them no. I've been around the industry a lot, and I've seen a lot of things. And I've had an opportunity, as I mentioned earlier in this call, to see companies like Walmart and eBay, and I've been at software startup companies. And so I've been really blessed to have an opportunity to see a lot of different things. And where I'm at more than anything in my career right now is I want some place where I can come and be respected as an individual, and that I can come and respect people as individuals. I'm looking for an environment more than I'm looking for anything else, which includes, to be quite honest, a lot of us that have looked for jobs over the course of our lives, I was less concerned about what I was going to get paid than where I was going to be and the people I was going to work with, and if it was going to be a respectful, cooperative environment, or if it was going to be an ego-driven, cutthroat environment. Because I've seen a little bit of both on the places I've been, and I know what I would rather do is I'd rather work with you. And I'm ready to be wrong sometimes. I'm ready to be told that I don't understand, and I'm ready to work together with folks that want to be a team and that want to go out and help people and be part of the world and be good citizens of the world, and to work together for a cause we believe in. And it's something over the course of consulting for a couple of months that I saw in ASEA, and I know that I see in individuals like Tyler and Scott and Dave. And so here I am.
There you go. Yeah, it's a special company, isn't it? And the people are what make it, and it's not the easiest thing that we're doing together.
No,
but the fact that it is a true partnership, and that, we're doing our best in the field to support you guys in corporate, and you're doing the best that you can do at corporate to support us in the field. It's really, really a wonderful marriage that way. So thank you for everything you do. Really, really do appreciate you. And we certainly understand that when you're coding for Androids and iPhones and laptops and PCs and Apples and God knows what all that you're doing, it's not an easy thing. So we really, really appreciate you, and thank you for everything you do.
Thank you so much. Likewise, so much appreciate everyone out there helping us drive the company forward and being on the front line of what's going on for ASEA.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Jeremy, for spending some time with us. Go spend the rest of the evening with your family, and we sure appreciate having you on the team.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
All righty. Good night, everybody.